Hi U8. So at this moment in time, we were now ready to start to glue our lamp together. Okay, so you'll have removed your rebate like Mr. Moore has described to you in the last video with your chisel and your mallet. And hopefully you found that fairly straightforward. It can be a little bit tricky, so it'll take you a little bit of time to get it right. But once you have it done, you'll hopefully have something that looks sort of like this when you assemble it. And so if you can imagine there, I just have my two pieces up like that, and I folded my two pieces that I've cut with my chisel and my mallet in towards them like this. Okay, now I'm going to glue them together. So what I will do first of all is I will check to see if they're square. Now they're not going to be exact, but get them as close as we can to being square. So what I do with that is I just slide two squares in here like this, just to check when I have it all pushed together how it lines up to be square. So your angle of this should be quite good. So I can see my squares are lining up pretty well with all the edges there, and I'm happy with that. I'm not going to tinker with it anymore. You may have to tinker with yours a little bit if it's not square. Now this isn't really advice I can give too much in a video about how to change that. So if you put your squares in like this and you find that it's way off and it's not lining up, I would mention it to your teacher and they will advise you on how to proceed. Okay, so what I have done then before this, guys, I've ripped off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of tape. Not huge pieces of tape, but substantial enough that they can wrap around the corners. And I'm going to go from there and try and glue it all together with using some tape. So I'm going to pull down my two edges here. Okay, and I'm going to get some glue. And I'm going to add it to those edges. Okay. Now I'll speed up the video here at this point. Okay, so once I've added my glue, I can take my finger and I can spread it round all over the surface of the joint. And again, I'll speed it up from here as well. Okay, so now you see I have my all edges done there, covered in glue. A bit will seep out obviously when we're finished, we can clean that off. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt one piece up and join it together like that. And I'm going to tilt the second edge up and join it together like that as well. Again, you can see it's starting to seep out now, which is fine. Using your squares again, make sure it's quite square. Now get your piece of tape, so individual piece of tape, and then just start to join the edges together. Now keep it held tightly as you're joining it, as you're putting each piece of tape on. Hold that section closely together. So I'm going to do one corner here, and I'm going to do the opposite corner on this side, which is one piece first of all. Again, keeping it all tight together, as tight as you can, pulling the tape nice and tight. Okay, and then I'm going to go to this edge over here. Pull it and keep it tight. And here as well, on my final edge. Keep it tight and pull the tape. Okay. So I've done the kind of higher edges there. I'm going to go a bit lower with my second piece of tape towards the bottom of the piece. Again, if you're pulling it nice and tight, you should see the glue starting to seep out. And you can wipe it onto your apron. Again, making sure that it's still square. You still see mine is pretty good in here. It needs to be adjusted just a little bit, which is fine there. More tape. Second last short piece. Again, check if it's square. Now it's moved a little bit there, so I'm going to move it back. Okay. And my last short piece on here. Okay, and checking if it's square. Okay. Now, if you like, what you can do after that is to put a big piece around on it. So I'm going to start at this edge here. I'm going to keep it nice and tight. I'm going to pull that tape tightly. Looking at my squares as well all the time. If it breaks, no problem. Just join that bit on and start again. Finished here. I'm going to continue from this edge. Moved a little bit there with that last bit of tape, so check out my squares again. Okay, and that's pretty good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use my finger, remove any excess glue from your corners. Make sure it's pushed tightly. If you think your tape isn't tight enough, add more. But I'm pretty happy with that, guys, okay? Now I'm going to leave that just here for the moment for my video. Where you leave yours will be at your teacher's discretion, wherever they're keeping their pieces, okay? So I'll tell my group store them in a certain area. That will be up to your teacher where they store them, okay? So if I remove the squares now, and look at it, I'm pretty happy that that's pretty square, okay? So that's our gluing process, guys. Make sure you're ready with your tape before you start, and make it easier for yourself. Make sure that it's square. Ask your teacher for advice on making it square if it's not square. And then if you are moving it, obviously be very gentle when you move it to a new area so that you don't distort the shape, okay? Good luck with that, year 8s, and after that you will be moving on to adding some more material in here, okay? Good luck.